Do you know that there is a reason why I had this, precisely this, today and not anything else? I had this background set for you because of something interesting which I had noticed with regards to pyramids. Now, pyramids, you see, no one knew exactly how the pyramids were built. No one exactly knows how the pyramids were built, but there came a time when archaeologists started to figure it out, and it is very recent that they figured out how they were built. So the mystery was, इसमें mystery ये थी कि how did the ancient Egyptians move these massive blocks in the desert? How did they put them together in this perfect geometrical shape? तो ये बहुत देर तक mystery चलती रही. Ultimately ये realize हुआ, what was realized, that इसके पीछे एक technique थी, that there was a technique essentially. That is what is interesting. And now I wanted to actually use the pyramids as a metaphor to explain to you that ये जो technique है, there is a technique to writing really good essays. Sometimes we encounter essays, some topper will write a nice essay, you will get a sample. In some essays, you will find someone writes a quotation, starts with a quotation, somebody writes something else, and they start an essay with a anecdote. It is not exactly clear how the essay is constructed, how an award-winning essay is constructed, just like it is not clear how the pyramids were constructed. Pyramid के पीछे भी एक technique थी. Technique, it turns out, was this. So they used to have these massive blocks. They used to put water on the sand. The sand would get wet, the rock would slide, and they would continue to do that. And that is how they got all these boulders together. And that's how the pyramid was constructed. It's proper scientific, technical technique use करी जा रही थी all the duration of this construction, and that was the reason why this edifice, what we call as one of the greatest wonders of the world, was created thousands of years ago. Essay writing is an art to some extent, but for the most part, for most people, it is not an art. It is simply a series of techniques that includes the beautification. जिसकी हम beautification की बात करते हैं, that the fact that ऐसे बहुत अच्छा दिखना चाहिए और उसके बहुत वो होने चाहिए, that is also subject to some techniques. This can be taught. My claim today is ये सीखा जा सकता है और इसमें बहुत हद तक there is nothing but a series of steps. Today we are going to go through the series of steps. I will take about 5 minutes to explain to you what we are doing. थोड़ा सा different tempo होगा. It will be a slightly different experience for you because this is the first time that you would have probably gone through this. Some of my previous students have gone through it. But आपको मजा आएगा. You're going to enjoy it and we're going to have a lot of discussion, healthy discussion. So I also want to make sure that you are engaging with me on the chat क्योंकि I will be asking questions. मैं आपसे question पूछूंगा. You will give me inputs. We will brainstorm together. After we brainstorm, we will use those techniques and we'll be writing an essay. I have a paper and pen here with me, and I hope that you also do that. You have that with you, and so let us begin. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the mountain of mediocrity. Everyone, almost all of us, are in this range of in the middle. इस माउंटेन ऑफ mediocrity से निकलना है. वी वांट द essay टू बी पुश्ड. नाउ आई वांट टू मेक सम एक्सपेक्टेशंस क्लियर. essay राइटिंग में उसको बहुत अच्छा करने में, उसको निखारने में थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा. आज what we are trying to do is to get the basics clear. What we will do today can ensure that you get around 50 to 55 60% marks. 110 120 मार्क्स के आसपास आपको हम लेके चले जाएंगे आज. उसके बाद पुश करने के लिए थोड़ी सी एम्बेलिशमेंट और थोड़ी सी प्रैक्टिस चाहिए. We'll tell you how that works. This is the mountain of mediocrity. Our goal is to get to that 150 level. And let me bring you now to this. Now suppose this is an interesting thought experiment. एक thought experiment करते हैं. Suppose करते हैं that went to you went for a vacation, you went abroad, and what happened was that you broke some rules there, some customs जो आपको नहीं पता थे, and they put you in jail. It's a strange country, you don't know anybody, you don't know क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है. But आपको जेल में उन्होंने डाल दिया है और अब उनका रूल ये है कि यू कैन नॉट अपीयर बिफोर अ जज. आप अपनी बात मुंह से नहीं कह सकते. आपको अपनी बात एक पेज पे लिखनी है. आपको बात अपनी एक पेज पे लिखनी है, 1000-1200 वर्ड्स में लिखनी है, और ये उसके रूल्स हैं. अब हमको जज को कन्विंस करना है किसी चीज के बारे में. Assume that is your situation. What the UPSC wants. तो UPSC is of course a metaphor for the judge इस situation में. अब UPSC के नोटिफिकेशन में क्लियरली लिखा है I am going to read it out to you. Notification में the absolute clear words are this. The candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. They will be expected to keep closely to the subject of the essay, to arrange their ideas in an orderly fashion, and to write concisely. Credit will be given for effective and exact expression. उन्होंने clearly बता दिया है what type of essay they want. Multiple topics पे लिखने की जरूरत पड़ सकती है. Keeping closely to the subject, you know that you understand this is not something which is we are smart people. I don't need to explain the fact कि अगर ऐसे एक चीज के बारे में तो we cannot go on too many tangents. If we are writing about, suppose, say capitalism, or if we are writing about minimalism, or if we are writing about spirituality, तो हम एक अलग से trajectory पे नहीं जा सकते हैं बहुत देर तक. We can't give 700 words to Buddhism on the subject of spirituality. We have to focus on the core subject and address all its dimensions. Arranging ideas in an orderly fashion, writing concisely, effective, exact expression. All this I will tell you. Check this out. To illustrate the difference between what is structure and flow. Yes, structure and flow, we keep hearing about this structure and flow. What is structure and flow? This is the basic structure and flow of an essay topic of UPSC previous years. Yes, structure is the way I organize my essay. The flow is how it reads. The flow is how it reads. What is the experience of the reader? कितना smoothly transition करता है वो point to point, paragraph to paragraph, topic to topic, argument to argument. कितना easy है पढ़ना, कितना communicative है, कितना clear perspective दे पा रहा है. That is what I mean by it. But that is just the basic. This is just the basic. Let me now take you to the core. And this is the first step. This is how it begins. This is the first step. Now I want you to engage and I want you to start typing in the chat box when I will ask you questions. I am about to ask you a few questions now. I claim and I say that every essay topic in the UPSC, every essay topic, 99.9% of the essay topics can be divided are about two things. I am talking about two things or two concepts. इनको हम बोलते हैं thing one और thing two. Just for the sake of simplicity, let us call them thing one, thing two. ऐसे टॉपिक दो चीजों के बारे में होगा. Capitalism cannot bring inclusive growth. One thing is capitalism, the other thing is inclusive growth. Technology cannot replace manpower. One thing is technology, other thing is manpower. ये तो simple है, clear enough, really nothing complicated. Sometimes ऐसे topics can be metaphorical. This technique, this is the first step of the technique. The first step of the technique is called deconstruction. Deconstruction में I am just interested in finding out कि what is thing one, what is thing two, कौन सी दो चीजों के बारे में बात कर रहा है ये ऐसे टॉपिक. I am not concerned with the statement. I am not concerned with the analysis. मुझे उसके बारे में कोई डीप एनालिसिस नहीं करनी. मुझे बस इतना जानना है कि किसी भी ऐसे टॉपिक की जो दो फंडामेंटल कोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं वो क्या हैं. This is this is an abstract explanation जो आपको visually थोड़ा सा intuitive understanding देगी. I said divided into thing one and thing two. Then I said what happens if I divide this essay topic into thing one and thing two. Capitalism cannot bring inclusive growth. We know capitalism is thing one. We know that inclusive growth is thing two. This is too easy. Okay. Can you please tell me what is thing one and thing two in this topic? Just let me know what is thing one and thing two in this topic. Technology cannot replace manpower. I just mentioned, and I just want you to, I know you know, it is too easy for you, but just type in the chat box. Type in the chat box, let me know what is thing one, what is thing two. Technology, manpower. बहुत easy है रक्षित, absolutely correct. बहुत easy है ये तो, no problem. शिवानी correct, सौरभ correct, देवेश correct, रजनदीप perfect, 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 perfect. You guys are smart. ये बहुत easy है. ये इसमें बताइए. This is slightly, I would say. Let us see what you say. I want to see your response. Let me know what is thing one and thing two in this essay topic. Sting operation is an invasion of privacy. What is thing one and thing two? Sting operation, privacy, Rakshit, perfect. Interesting एक चीज I will tell you. Rakshit is saying sting operation and privacy. He is not saying invasion of privacy. इन्वेजन है या नहीं है, दैट इज अ क्वेश्चन फॉर लेटर, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन ऑफ द एनालिसिस। बस दो चीजों के बारे में है, स्टिंग ऑपरेशन, प्रिवेसी। परफेक्ट, बिल्कुल ठीक। अजय, प्रथमा, कुलकर्णी, हिमांशी, अर्पिता, परफेक्ट परफेक्ट परफेक्ट, वेरी गुड, बिल्कुल ठीक है। दैट मीन्स यू आर विद मी। ठीक है। नाउ आई टोल्ड यू, यू सी, आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू a minute ago that all essay topics can be divided into thing 1 and thing 2. This is an example of that. These are essay topics of previous year. This is thing 1 and thing 2. You will get this, of course. You can have this. It's no problem. But now I want to take you into a more difficult situation, and I want to take you into the. This is 2022 essay paper. This is 2022 essay paper, and I want you to deconstruct these essay topics. My first question to you is this. My first question is this. Essay topic number 1. What is thing 1 and what is thing 2? Forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. What is thing 1? What is thing 2? Let me know in the chat. I'll give you a minute, although this is not easy. Forest, Rakshit, you say forest economy, okay. And I agree, of course, easy hai. But it will get interesting as we go to other essay topics, which are not as straightforward. Forest and economy success. You can say that, Jyotsna, that's correct. I have no issues with that. Himanshi correct, Saurabh correct. Uh, Rudra Singh, environment and economic development नहीं है. Forest है thing one, economic excellence is thing two. तो thing one is forest, इसमें कोई doubt नहीं है. Correct. महर्षि correct. संजय बिल्कुल ठीक. अर्पिता बिल्कुल ठीक. Correct, correct. You guys got it. Let us not worry about the fact that if it is economic excellence or not. For now, let us forget the fact. Let us just assume that thing two is economic excellence. Perfect. Now my next question to you. Poets are the unacknowledged legislatures of the world. What is thing one and thing two in this essay topic? This becomes more interesting. Poets are the unacknowledged legislatures of the world. Thing one and thing two क्या हुआ इसमें? किन दो कोर कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में ये स्टेटमेंट है? पोएट्स, लेजिस्लेचर. लेजिस्लेचर, रक्षित, लेजिस्लेचर से बेटर मुझे लगता है लेजिस्लेचर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, बिकॉज लेजिस्लेचर इज मोर ऑफ अ ब्रॉड टर्म. यहाँ जो जिस चीज की बात हो रही है, लेजिस्लेचर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड मतलब, and legislature of the world is very different from normal legislatures. You see, normal legislators pass laws. The type of legislator being talked about here, which of course is a topic for later, बाद में discuss करेंगे हम, is that type of legislator who creates judgments, who passes judgments. That poetry is a reflection of what is happening in the world, and it highlights and it brings forth what is hidden. That's good poetry. See, and at many times, poets also they embody the conscience of a society, and then they bring it out in poems. You see many revolutionary poets in the Indian freedom struggle, etc., etc. ये सब चीजें इसके बारे में है. कुहू ठीक है, झंकार करेक्ट, बालाजी ठीक, श्रेया ओके, आशुतोष करेक्ट, महर्षि करेक्ट, सोफिया करेक्ट, राघवेंद्र बिल्कुल ठीक, परफेक्ट. ओके, ओके. नाउ स्लाइटली मोर डिफिकल्ट. थर्ड ऐसे टॉपिक. थर्ड ऐसे टॉपिक कह रहा है, इन दिस वन बी अ लिटिल बिट मोर केयरफुल. थोड़ा सा सोचना है लिखने से पहले. हिस्ट्री इज अ सीरीज ऑफ विक्ट्रीज वन बाय द साइंटिफिक मैन ओवर द रोमांटिक मैन. इसमें क्या हुआ? हिस्ट्री इज अ सीरीज ऑफ विक्ट्रीज वन बाय द साइंटिफिक मैन ओवर द रोमांटिक मैन. इसमें क्या होगा? Legislate. Prathma, in that essay topic, it doesn't matter whether you use legislature or legislation. I would say just make sure that you understand legislators of the world is the thing that is talking about, and how poetry or poets relate to that. So, scientific man and romanticism, very nice, very nicely put, Pooja. I like that. Jyotsna, correct. Saurabh, scientific man and romantic man, perfect. नहीं राजनदीप, तीन चीजें नहीं है, दो ही चीजें हैं. इसमें भी दो ही चीजें हैं. हिस्ट्री एंड साइंटिफिक वर्सेस रोमांटिक मैन. हिस्ट्री को हम एक बार भूल सकते हैं, साइंटिफिक मैन और रोमांटिक मैन, और द हिस्ट्री पार्ट ऑफ इट इज द रिलेशनशिप दैट इज बीइंग डिस्क्राइब्ड, व्हिच इज टू से दैट there is a history to this relationship between the scientific man and romantic man, and history is a series of victory where one has won and the other has lost. Naman correct. Srishti correct. History as so Saurabh, you are saying history as scientific versus romantic. No, I don't think so. History, the focus is on, yes, it is a historical comparison, but the focus is on the scientific man versus the romantic man. क्योंकि हमारा जो एनालिसिस का पॉइंट है वो साइंटिफिक मैन वर्सेस रोमांटिक मैन रहने वाला है, नॉट हिस्ट्री. हिस्ट्री तो हम यूज करेंगे इलस्ट्रेट करने के लिए कि ये स्टेटमेंट सच है या नहीं है. काजल वेरी गुड, परफेक्ट. राघवेंद्र बिल्कुल ठीक. राघवेंद्र हैज गॉट थ्री इन अ रो. महर्षि बिल्कुल ठीक. महर्षि, देर आर नॉट थ्री थिंग्स हियर इन माय ओपिनियन. साइंस वर्सेस रोमांस वर्सेस ब्लाइंड फेथ नहीं है. रोमांटिक वन साइंटिफिक मैन, एंड राइट नाउ we are not concerned what scientific man means. We are also not concerned about what romantic man means. All I want to do is isolate the main things. जब मैं isolate कर लूंगा, मेरे लिए आगे का काम बहुत easy हो जाएगा और मुझे clarity मिलेगी. This isolation that you're doing, this deconstruction that you're doing, in the next step, I will make you brainstorm on these, and the entire content of your essay, आपके essay का सारा content इस deconstruction में से निकलने वाला है. That's why we're doing it. हाँ, we'll संदीप, yes, of course it may mean that, but we'll worry about that later. ये तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग और लंबी डिबेट है साइंटिफिक मैन और रोमांटिक मैन की. इसके लिए मुझे पूरी सेशन चाहिए, बट फॉर नाउ लेट अस जस्ट आइसोलेट. अच्छा, okay. So in this whole list, my last question to you, the fourth essay topic. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. What is thing one, thing two? I am letting you know that thing one and thing two is not ship. ये metaphorical है. This is metaphorical. What are the two things being compared इसमें? Ship and harbor. Oh, you wrote on this, Rakshit, in your mains. Interesting. This essay topic sounds a little abstract, but topic अच्छा है ये. अगर choose किया था तो इस पे लिखा जा सकता है. Comfortable life and purpose of life. You are very close. You're very close actually, but not precisely. Reality and expectation. Adi, acha Adi, tell me this. Is it about reality and expectation, or is it versus risk versus safety versus risk? Safety versus risk. Correct. Absolutely correct. You got it, Sony. Yes. Comfort versus risk taking. Perfect. Maharishi, you got it. Balaji, yes. बिल्कुल ठीक है. Risk versus safety. तो metaphor है. Ship could be anything. A ship could be a metaphor for anything. It could be a metaphor for a adolescent or a teenager who goes out into the world. It could be a metaphor for your talent, which you keep hidden with you, but you never know what might happen if you bring it out to the world. Maybe you write poetry. Maybe you can sing very well. Maybe you're too shy to let other people know about it. Maybe that is where you feel safe. And this point of being safe, you see, has to do also with our ego. Because once you have something and you need to put it out into the world, so you put yourself at risk. Right now, I am putting myself out there in front of you, in front of the whole world. So I am taking a risk. I would be much more safe if I did not do this, right? I would be comfortable. I would not have the nervousness or the anxiety or the possibility of a blunder or the possibility of something going wrong, because I would simply not expose myself. अब expose करने के लिए risk लगता है और risk लगने के लिए courage चाहिए होता है. This is about that. What is a safe strategy? We are not going to argue or say that this is correct or not correct. वो analysis करेंगे हम बाद में. But right now deconstruction समझ में आया आपको? Did you get it? Deconstruction हो गया? Clear? If that is clear, then I will move ahead and we will move on to something more interesting. Okay. Now, I want to do one more thing now, Shikha. I want to do one more thing after I have isolated thing one and thing two. मुझे पता चल गया thing one क्या है, मुझे पता चल गया thing two क्या है. मुझे एक चीज और चाहिए. That one thing is that I want to find what is the relationship between thing one and thing two described in the essay topic. I want to know that. This relationship is the heart of the essay topic. Suppose I take this essay topic. Now, again, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer in the chat. Technology cannot replace manpower. We know technology is thing one. We know manpower is thing two. But ये जो relationship है technology और manpower में ये क्या है? What is being described? What is the relationship? What do you think is the relationship? The relationship is, you are correct, it is that technology cannot replace manpower, thing one cannot replace thing two, और they are antithetical और एक antagonistic relationship है. Relationship ये है कि दोनों exist नहीं कर सकते. They don't, it doesn't seem to be possible that they coexist, is what the essay topic is saying. That's what I'm interested in. This or that type. हाँ, but we let us articulate it better, Rakshit. इसको अच्छे से बोलना जरूरी है, because this will feed into our analysis later on. इवोल्यूशन नहीं है प्रणीता. आई रिलेशनशिप बस ये है कि दे आर एंटागनिस्टिक. वन इज द एंटीथीसिस ऑफ द अदर, या वन दे डू नॉट गो टुगेदर, या वन कैन नॉट रिप्लेस द अदर. बस इतना है रिलेशनशिप. कंपैरेटिव इतना, वी डोंट नीड टू फाइंड द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट वर्ड्स, हम बस रिलेशनशिप समझना चाह रहे हैं एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लेवल पे. एंड यू विल सी अभी व्हाई दैट सीम्स टू वर्क. बोथ गो हैंड इन हैंड. कपिल रिलेशनशिप ये है कि बोथ डू नॉट गो हैंड इन हैंड. टेक्नोलॉजी कैन नॉट रिप्लेस मैन पावर है इसमें. एंटागनिस्टिक रिलेशनशिप है. करेक्ट, करेक्ट. इंडिपेंडेंट रिलेशनशिप, अर्चना, इंडिपेंडेंट इज नॉट अ really good word to use here. You could say that they are mutually exclusive, but वो भी technical words करने की जरूरत नहीं है. बस one cannot replace the other. Not harmonious. सौरभ बिल्कुल ठीक है, इस लेवल पे ही रहना है हमको. Not harmonious. अच्छा, what is the what is the relationship between thing one and thing two here? What is the relationship between thing one and thing two in the famous Spider-Man quotation? With great power comes great responsibility. You know what is thing one, you know what is thing two, but what is the relationship being described? अब ये वाला रिलेशनशिप एंटागनिस्टिक नहीं है, ये वाला रिलेशनशिप डिफरेंट है. कोऑर्डिनेशन किनिकर यू से, आई एग्री. कोऑर्डिनेशन तो नहीं है, दे आर म्यूचुअली बाउंड टू इंक्रीज टुगेदर. पावर एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, करेक्ट. कोमल, बट कोमल व्हाट इज द रिलेशनशिप? हार्मोनियस, करेक्ट. हार्मोनियस का जल, बोथ को एग्जिस्ट. जानकार सिर्फ सिर्फ को एग्जिस्ट नहीं करते. इफ वन इज देयर देन द अदर आल्सो मस्ट एग्जिस्ट. कोहेसिव, वर्चुअस, ठीक है. ऑल द वर्ड्स, डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल, रक्षित, आई एग्री. अकाउंटेबिलिटी तो नहीं मैं बोलूंगा, हैंड इन हैंड बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है. पूजा इज करेक्ट. एगोनाइटिक, आई डोंट नो व्हाट दैट मींस, बट दैट्स नॉट इट. कोहेसिव, ठीक है. व्हिचएवर वर्ड्स यू आर यूजिंग टू डिस्क्राइब दिस इज फाइन. हमने कर लिया ये. We isolated the relationship. Now let us go one step further. Let us go one step further and find what is the relationship in these questions. The process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. This is 2021 essay paper. By the way, जितने भी questions और जितने भी essay topics I am mentioning, I am talking about, ये सब UPSC के questions हैं. None of these questions or these essay topics are from anywhere. I am using essay topics from 2015 onward, and I want to expose you to as many essay topics in this conversation as possible, so that you don't have an issue. Oh yeah, I can zoom this. Here you go. The process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. Thing one, what is thing one? What is thing two? And then what is the relationship between them? Corollary, you say agonistic, positive. Lakshita, that is a correct statement. I agree, but हमको थोड़ा सा we have to figure out exactly what it means. We will, okay, correct. Rakshit, it is correct. Self-discovery, technology, cohesion. Zoom in. I'll just tell you what it is. The process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. In fact, let me take you here. let me take you to the other step. I want to make sure that we move ahead. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to introduce the essay topic of today. So far, I have introduced various essay topics. We have deconstructed them. अभी हमने reconstruction कर लिया है और हमने we have figured out the relationship between them. We know that this is the way to look at essay topic. What we have figured out basically is that we are not to look at the essay topic as one statement and start writing about it. First, we are extracting out the two basic concepts. We are isolating them from the statement. Then we are finding कि exactly लिखा क्या है किन चीजों के बारे में, है किन चीजों के बारे में one, लिखा what exactly is the relationship between them is two. Once this is done, your deconstruction is over. Now, I had asked you to bring a piece of paper. I had asked you to bring a piece of paper and a pen. I have one in front of me. I hope that you have one in front of you also. I want you to take that piece of paper and divide it into half longitudinally. Divide it into half because we are about to do some structured brainstorming. I would like you to divide the page into half as longitudinally. I just drawn a line straight down the middle. On one side, write thing one. On the other side, write thing two. And once you have done this, let me know. And I am about to introduce to you the essay topic of the day. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are going to be talking about, and we are about to write an essay on this topic. This is your essay topic of the day. Life is a long journey between being human and being humane. Life is a long journey between being human and being humane. Now, on your piece of paper, Pooja, you're done. Excellent. Pranati, excellent. Pranita. Okay. On the left side, write thing one. What is thing one? You know. What is thing two? You know. Write it at the top of your page. Thing one, thing two, हो गया. Of course, one is being human, the other is being humane. No mystery there. What is the relationship between thing one and thing two? Just right in the middle where you've written thing one, thing two, just right in the middle the relationship ताकि याद रहे कि ऐसे topic क्या कह रहा था. Sometimes we forget and we go on a different tangent. That being human, evolution है from being human to being human. This is what life is. This is what it is saying. We'll figure out what it means. Okay, you're done. All right. Now I am going to introduce a new technique called 12QC. 12QC are 12 question clues. What my goal right now is, जो आपने thing one and thing two isolate करा है अभी, आपने बोला thing one is being human, thing two is being humane. I want to make your mind throw out content which is already in your mind. I want you to brainstorm, and while you brainstorm about thing one, first let us forget about thing two. Abhi we are only concerned with being human. What is the meaning of being human? Human being as an animal, human being as a biological organism, human being as a fellow member of the ecosystem with regards to other animals is what the question is. Being human versus being humane is the essay topic. So when you talk about being human, humans being Homo sapiens, that organism, that animal, उसके बारे में बात हो रही है अभी. That is our focus keyword number one. Now I'm asking you some questions which will help you bring out keywords. I'm looking for keywords. मेरा अभी जो purpose है, I want you to bring about keywords. And I have to help you bring those keywords out. I want to ask you some questions. These are the 12 questions. These are 12 question clues, and that is why this technique is called 12QC. My 12 questions are these. I am going to ask these questions or in the context of with respect to thing one, which is being human or Homo sapiens. Let us call it Homo sapiens, right? My first question to you. You can actually type this in the chat and also write it. अब आपको paper पे भी लिखना है ये. The answer. All the keywords, keep listing them down in the page that you had divided. Keep listing them down. Where have you heard or read about Homo sapiens before? What is the importance of Homo sapiens for Homo sapiens? Well, they are the same thing. We'll ignore that one. Is it made of smaller words? Is Homo sapiens made of smaller words? Sapiens. What does that word mean? What is the meaning of that word? I don't care about the analysis and I don't care about the knowledge. I don't care about Yuval Noah Harari's book. I want to know what the word means, right? List that. अब इन क्वेश्चंस को यू आस्क दीज क्वेश्चंस टू योरसेल्फ और जो जो इनके आंसर्स में आपको कीवर्ड्स मिल रहे हैं सारे कीवर्ड जस्ट नोट देम. दैट्स ऑल आई वांट. Just note down the keywords based on these 12 questions. One of the questions I just asked is what is the importance of what is thing one made of? Homo sapiens. Sapiens is a very important clue here. Anthropology, civilized person, बिल्कुल ठीक है. Good keywords. Intellectual, गौतम. Sapiens का मतलब तो intellectual ही होता है. Sapiens का मतलब intelligent, more or less. But आप लिख लो. You write these keywords. These are good keywords. So एक मुझे keyword मिला है anthropology. I'm going to write it and I'm going to use it later. एक मुझे मिला intellectual. एक somebody has said civilized person. I will read the questions to you. What is the opposite of thing one? What is the opposite of Homo sapiens? What could be the opposite of Homo sapiens? That's actually not an easy question, but think about it. And when you think about it, just find whatever keywords are coming to your mind. Emotional intelligence, very nice. Very, very nice word. Very nice word. ये बहुत काम आएगा. It's a good keyword. By Himanshi. Rakshit, barbaric. Nice. Let's write that. And you see, अब रक्षित ने कहा barbaric. Already you can see that it is correlating to the opposite of the concept, which is being humane. All of this is going to come to our rescue. Prachi is saying wise man. All right. Biology, animal, non-civilized, barbaric. ठीक है. ठीक है. So, is there an ethical question or debate associated with thing one? What could it be? What is the ethical debate associated with being human? Although that is exactly what the question is. Life is a long journey between being human and being human, but if the human is an animal, but why is there an onus on the animal on being ethical? What is the point? And when you hear this question, what comes to your mind? What keywords pop up? Knowledge seekers. That's a good one, Ankita. I'll write it. Morality. Maybe I want to say compassion. Whatever comes to your mind. Values is a good word, Rakshit. अच्छा है. You can write that. Whatever comes to your mind, list it in your list of keywords. There are no right or wrong answers. There are no right or wrong answers. We are just extracting keywords जो हमको already पता है mind में है. But ये जो questions है ना, these are prompts. As you ask the question, something in your mind will get activated and some words will come out which would not have come out वैसे otherwise. Had we just been brainstorming on Homo sapiens, there are infinite words. But this list narrows it down. This list makes me bring out the words which are more relevant. That is the purpose of this list, this technique. What happened in the past is a good example of thing one. Evolution is a very good word. Evolution, someone was saying. Sympathy, empathy, humanity, selflessness. Evolution is a very, very good word here. Ajay, ये तो करना ही है हमको use कहीं ना कहीं. Can you think of an Indian example associated with thing one? Although there are, of course, all Indians are humans. Is there something happening in the world right now which is an example of what is the optimistic side? Can you use the word in a sentence to express something positive or hopeful? Destructive competition is a good word. Social skills is also important. Primal instincts, Siddhant is saying. Okay, Siddhant, I am borrowing your keyword. Laborious, Vipin, laborious तो animals भी होते हैं. Rakshit says Vasudev Katumbakam. Okay. Rational is a good word. Zenbeni, rational is a very good word. Rational मैं लिख सकता हूँ because rational I can use in both directions. Rational can be good, rational can be bad. So that I will see. Empathy I've written. Cosmopolitan, okay. Rational, Ukraine war, ठीक है. Anthropocene is a very good word, Kajal. That one I will also borrow. Okay, fine. Now, what happens if I ask the same questions for thing two, which is being humane? Being humane. Being humane, essentially means being compassionate. Compassionate, when I ask about being compassionate, where have you heard about being humane or compassion before? What words come to your mind? Just let your mind go, and don't worry about right or wrong. No judgment here. There is no judgment here. Feel free and just think. Benevolence, really nice word, Lakshita. Where have you heard the word compassion, humanity, kind? Yeah, go broader. Don't restrict yourself. Go broader. Think about people. Think about names. Think about anything that comes to your mind. जब compassion सोचते हो आप दिमाग में तो क्या आता है दिमाग में? बुद्धा, nice, yes. Kindness, Mother Teresa, ठीक है. Go broader also. Go broader still. Benevolence I've noted, but Lakshita, I have noted your word, Lakshita, but I am not looking for a paryayavachi. I am not looking for a synonym. I am looking for keywords. Keywords associated with compassion or being humane. Spirituality, okay, that's a good one. Equity, that's also a good one. Mahatma Gandhi, I was expecting that. Feeling for a beggar. Pooja, wo feeling for a beggar, okay, fine. Mahavir, war. War is good. Pluto. I don't know how that would be relevant. You want to say Bhagat Singh, Gita Sar, national anthem, being social, B.R. Ambedkar. अब ये निकल रहे हैं आप. Now good keywords are coming. अब now you're getting better. ठीक है. Let me ask you another question. Orphanage, ठीक है. I know what you mean to say, Jyoti. हमको better keyword मिल सकते हैं, but कोई बात नहीं. What is the importance of compassion or being humane for human beings? What is the importance of compassion or being humane for human beings? Amol, Ashok, after Kalinga War is a good thing. Refugees, okay. But now let's move on. What is the importance of compassion or being humane for human beings? Importance. Why should human beings entertain this compassion? Why can't we just be completely rational? Why can't we run our societies mechanically? Why can't we be like machines when they obviously make less mistakes? Why can't we completely calculative? Why should we not be completely calculated? What is the importance of this compassion thing? Why do we need this at all? Global stability, survival. All right, I will write that. Meaningful life, interesting. Mother. Lakshita, what do you mean mother? In what context? You want to say motherhood, maybe? You want to say femininity? That I will understand. But mother doesn't really make much sense to me. Parisma, okay. Parisma is saying equitable and inclusive growth. That's a good one. Inclusive growth, I will keep. Social welfare, to run harmony, to make society worth living in. Coexistence, betterment of whole society, peace. Important, good word. ठीक है. Good. Let me go ahead. What is the opposite of compassion? What is the opposite of compassion? What is the opposite of compassion? What is the opposite of being humane? Let us see what keywords come to your mind when you think about that. Hatred. All right. Cruelty. Hmm. All right. Any other keywords which pop into your head? Think about people as well. Think about examples. Think about the best possible examples of things which are the opposite of compassion that you may have encountered ever. Socialist society. Well, harsh, rude, ignorance, cruelty, hate speech, maintain. These are nice. These are, of course, good words, but you can give me examples also. You can give me names. You can give me instances. You can give me particular things. COVID, okay. War and sorrow. Pranita is saying criminal. Khushbu is saying passive behavior. Khushbu, I don't exactly know what you mean by that, but that's a good word. Hamza is saying anarchy. Anarchy is a good word. That I'll take. Dictator. Kushal is saying dictator. Dictator, all right, authoritarianism, Holocaust. That is what I was looking for. That's a very good example. And we'll talk about that. Holocaust. Cold heartedness. All right. What is the pessimistic or negative side of the word? Can you use the word in a sentence to express something negative and depressing? Can you use the word compassion in something which is negative and depressing? That's, if you think about it, it doesn't sound like a very good question, but as soon as you start thinking about it, you will begin to realize that there is something there. Kim Jong, Britishers, Jallianwala Bagh incident, Khushbu, I do agree that was a barbaric thing that they did. Ukraine, okay, radicals, unjust rules, utilitarian, Raghavendra is saying. Issue, apathy, that's a good word. Tyranny, also a good word. Yes. You see now, look at the amount of keywords that you are generating. Um, the the point of it is this. The reason that we are doing is this. Did I have to read a book to generate all this content? Did you have to read the Bhagavad Gita? Did you have to read a book on ethics? Did you have to read something about compassion? Did you have to read a book about anything to come up with this content? ये जो अभी आपने इतने सारे keywords बताए हैं, they were already there. Common sense के point of view से भी we had them. We had them all together. Fine. I think we have more than enough. So this is what I had done. This is my page. This is how I would have done it. I will send this to you, and there's a link. Actually, there is a link in the description as well as there is a pinned message where you will find I've written an essay on this topic itself. But अभी नहीं देखना है वो. अभी नहीं देखना है, बाद में देखेंगे. I will give you some homework. अभी नहीं देखेंगे उसको. Anyway, these are the keywords I had generated when I was doing this alone. But we will see. Is what I will do now is I will use your keywords only, not anything else. Deconstruction हो गई हमारे ऐसे टॉपिक की. We are now going ahead and we are now going to create an introduction. Now, on that piece of paper, I need you to have another piece of paper. I want you to have a blank piece of paper and I want you to do something for me. I am going to ask you a few questions and I want you to write the answer to those questions in a sentence. एक या दो sentence में answer लिखना है and write the answers in a sequence, not in a bulleted format. Write the answers in a sequence. एक question का answer full stop, then दूसरे question का answer let it go running continuously, and you will see that ये लिखते लिखते एक introduction बन जाएगी. My question to you is this, and I will give you some time, but now I want you to actually take your pen and put it to paper and write this. This is your introduction. Introduction अभी basic level की बनेगी. It will be a little raw, but उसको हम improve करते चले जाएंगे. For now, this is a demonstration, and my question to you is this. What do you understand by Homo sapiens? अभी हमने इतनी सारी brainstorming करी. Write that in a sentence. Homo sapiens. Whatever you want to write, you write. I'll give you 1 minute. Write it and then put a full stop. Yes, Khushbu, you could use that. Environmental interactions, sure. Greed for power of wealth and importance of emotions. When you've written that statement, let me know that you're done. Then I will move on. I will give you a minute to frame it any way you want. You want to write it straight, Homo sapiens is blah blah blah, you do that. You want to write it in a slightly better way, you do that. But in a sentence, tell me what you understand by Homo sapiens and write it. You have creative freedom. Kapil, okay, that is what you think humans are, then fine. Maharishi, trouble on the planet, fine. But Maharishi, humans are a lot more than that also. They may be one of the things that they are is trouble for the planet, but what about the other things? How would I describe Homo sapiens to somebody who doesn't understand what that is? In a sentence. That is the sentence I want from you. Once you've written that, I don't want adjectives for it. I want the whole statement. किरोड़ी आई वांट मुझे चाहिए कि आप इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर लिखें एक स्टेटमेंट में. क्वेश्चन ये है कि होमोसेपियंस क्या होते हैं. व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय होमोसेपियंस? Homo Lakshita is saying Homo sapiens is the most evolved man residing on Earth with sense of rationally emotional connect and creativeness. Hmm. Intellectual creatures who can bring a change in the world. Fine. Sagar is saying this. Lakshita is saying that. जो भी description है आपकी. Homo sapiens are living beings having intellectual capabilities. पूजा animals में भी intellectual capabilities होती हैं वैसे. You would be surprised to know that crows, some animals are very very smart. Crows, octopuses, octopi are very intelligent creatures. They can do things equivalent to almost a 10-year-old, 8 to 10-year-old human being can do. Maybe even more, especially for octopi. But कोई बात नहीं. We're not worried about. That's a good statement. Ajay is saying mammals with emotional intelligence and decision makers. All right. So you wrote that statement. आपने वो statement लिख ली. I want you to put a full stop and I want you to continue. What do you understand by being humane or by compassion? Just let that paragraph continue. Rakshit, अच्छा, it's very nice. Jyoti, Vijay, अच्छा लिखा है. A human who has wisdom, understanding of thought. Fine. This is Swapnil. This is good. Being born with default primal behavior, but has immense possibilities if provided right knowledge. अच्छा. Homo sapiens is a super skilled civilized man dominating nature. So interesting. Hamza, you've got some good content. Good. Fine. Are you done with statement two? Statement two is what do you understand by being humane or compassion? Once you have written that, let me know. Nakul? Devika, I know that you know. I know your content is good. Sandeep, but I want you to write this because you see, writing it on a piece of paper to describe Homo sapiens is not a small or an easy task. But that's what we must learn to do. Once you've done that, once you've written the answer to statement two, continue, continue the statement, continue the paragraph, and in one sentence, write what is the relationship between Homo sapiens and compassion. You have no more than one sentence. Continue. This is statement number 3 in your paragraph. This is statement number 3 in your paragraph. Very good. Karthikeyan, Himanshi, Anaswara, Kapil. Being human is a sense which is all about sympathy, values, and having favor. बिल्कुल ठीक है कपिल. Go for it. Write it. It can improve. We will improve it, but for now it's good. I'm happy with it. Homo sapiens is the most intellectual animal. They have sense of consciousness. Being human is to have emotions which encompass kindness and love for everything around us. SK. Very nice. बहुत अच्छे. Write that. Write it on paper. Questions are these questions. What do you understand by Homo sapiens? What do you understand by compassion? What is the relationship between Homo sapiens and compassion? Fourth question is, why is that relationship important? We are writing one statement each and we are straight, basically tying it up into one paragraph. Instead of individual statements, this is a paragraph. That paragraph is your introduction. Marishi, perfect. Jyotsna, very nice. Ranjit, good. Aman, good. Gautam, being human is to be compassionate towards other living creatures, to nurture love and propagate peace. बहुत अच्छे. Very nice. Write that. Arshia, relationship refers to kind of continuity based on certain instances. Arshia, this is very abstract. थोड़ा सा और specific हम कर सकते हैं इसको. Humans must have humane sense because they survive this universe. Devika, I want a better statement than that. I think you can do better than that. A human is called humane when he or she is ethical and being selfless for human welfare of others. Lakshita, correct. I can't argue with that. Rudra Singh, you say that compassion is a feeling of sympathy and understanding for someone who is suffering. ठीक है. Rudra Singh, let's move on and tell me what is the relationship between being human and compassion. Fine, good. Okay. Now I want you to tell me and write. Why is that relationship important? Why should human beings be compassionate? Why is life a long journey between being human and being humane? Is it even? We'll go into that argument in a bit. But is it even? Very good content coming from a lot of you guys. Very impressed. Rajnikant, being human is to have compassion towards the other biological entity in the colony. Very nice. Karan, Vipin, Jyoti, you say there are various emotions, one of which is compassion, which shows the human nature. Jyoti, we need to bring out compassion a little bit more to explain what compassion is, to make more sense out of it. Relationship is important because they have the capacity to use in a positive way. Being empathetic नहीं होगा, empathic होता है. But that's only semantics. Being empathic towards all human beings is good. Necessary to live in harmony and peace. All right, ठीक है. Now, do you have an introduction in front of you? Let me show you how that would work. This is capitalism cannot bring inclusive growth in front of you. This is my brainstorming for inclusive growth. This is my brainstorming for capitalism. I did the exact same thing. I deconstructed it into thing one, thing two. I did some structured brainstorming. I found these keywords to be important. And then I asked myself these four questions. And as a result of those four questions, I wrote an introduction. This is that introduction. Notice what is this. The first statement is what is thing one. Capitalism is an economic system which allows for private ownership and profit making. Inclusive growth is multidimensional growth, which includes different sections of society, all genders, and the environment. So, right, what is thing one is statement one, what is thing two, statement two. At first, it seems like the relationship between capitalism and inclusive growth is an incompatible one. However, it is a rich interplay of many factors which make this relationship complex. Nevertheless, a harmonious relationship between capitalism and inclusive growth is of vital importance to the future of human society and the environment. Are you able to see the technique used just as it is? यूं की यूं यूज करी हुई है वो टेक्निक मैंने. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट में मैंने बताया व्हाट इज थिंग वन, सेकंड स्टेटमेंट में बताया व्हाट इज थिंग टू, थर्ड स्टेटमेंट में आई एम डिस्क्राइबिंग द रिलेशनशिप, फोर्थ स्टेटमेंट में आई एम सेइंग व्हाई दैट रिलेशनशिप इज इंपॉर्टेंट. अब when you read this introduction, although this is not the best introduction, ये okay, this is a nice average introduction, but अगर आप इस introduction को पढ़ोगे तो कहीं देख के do you get the feeling that it has been deconstructed and किसी ने mechanically ऐसे जोड़ के बनाया उसको, एक organic feeling आ रही होगी आपको इसको पढ़ के. Are you feeling that? Nowhere is it palpable or perceptible that I use some sort of technique at all. Organic feel होनी चाहिए. All right. Yes, Saurabh. I know. All right, you got that. I think that much is clear. Let us go. Let us go ahead. Let us go ahead. In front of you now, ladies and gentlemen, you would have an introduction now. If you don't have it, you can take a minute to write it. What I think, what I would have written, I'm just saying this at the top of my head, I would have written out of all the species, Homo sapiens have a special significance because of their intellectual capabilities. They are part of the ecosystem, but have an overbearing influence on it. That is my first statement. I would say then that compassion and being humane are higher state values of human beings where the concern for others overtakes the concern for oneself, where the short term becomes less important in the long term, where one sacrifices to the needs of the many. ये मेरी second statement. My third statement: not all human beings are humane. Not all human beings are ethical. Not all human beings fellow feel compassion, but those that feel compassion, those that practice compassion, are the ones that we call the most human amongst us all. This is my third statement. My fourth statement: it is important for all human beings to understand and to practice compassion because our whole society is built on cooperation. No man is an island in himself, and if we are to survive the challenges being posed in modern life by climate change, urbanization, globalization, industrialization, then we must pool our resources together and we must do so with compassion. ये मेरी चौथी statement. ये बन गई मेरी introduction. Are you happy with that introduction? If you are satisfied, only then I will move ahead. This I had not written. This is all extempore. I just used the technique. Your introduction will be slightly different. No problem. No issues. Rakshit, was that okay? That introduction? Brajandeep is also satisfied with it. Okay, fine. Okay. In that case, then I will move ahead. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've got my introduction. You have in front of you an introduction right now. Now I want to create the body of my essay. अब ये बहुत important है. See, this is important. There is a distinction here. There is an important change. When we write the body of the essay, हमको emotional बातें नहीं करनी होती हैं. We have to have arguments. जब हम बॉडी ऑफ द ऐसे लिखेंगे तो उसमें जो हमारे पॉइंट्स होंगे, द पॉइंट्स दैट वी से, द कंटेंट, और अभी जो हमने इतने सारे ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करे थे, ऑल दैट कीवर्ड्स, ऑल द 12 QC टेक्निक्स, ऑल द थिंग्स दैट वी हैड जनरेटेड will be used to create arguments, not opinions. Now, what is the difference between an argument and an opinion? What is the difference between an argument and an opinion? The difference is, this is what I mean by bodybuilding, building the body of your essay. I don't mean the bodybuilding in which I used to do, which I still do, in which you go to the gym. This is building the body of your essay, and the way you build the body of your essay is by presenting arguments. You argue why I am correct. You argue why this is not the case. I am not concerned with only opinions. The opinions alone do not impress me, and they will not impress the examiner, and they will not impress the judge, which you are supposed to convince. If you remember from our example in the initial, when we started this session, what I want right now is arguments. And what type of arguments do I want? What nature of arguments am I wanting to insert in my body? That is called a narrative. इसको कहते हैं flow. किस You see, when you watch a Netflix series, when you watch a movie, when you watch anything, or you read a work of fiction, the author or the director or the producer or the creator एक narrative create करता है. उस narrative में sometimes in the narrative, in the initial part of the movie or the show or whatever, something bad happens. Something bad happens. Then a hero emerges, right? Then the hero or the heroine goes through a period of very brutal trials. They go through a period of stress. They go through a period of being tested, and then they come out on top as champions. ये एक narrative है. This is what a narrative is. हमारे essays में भी एक narrative होता है. Whether you like it or not, narrative होगा. It is important to know that what that narrative will be before we go ahead. The narrative that I am suggesting is called begins. BGINS. begins. BGINS, begins, stand for bad things, good things, Indian things, should things. What I am saying now, and this would be very clear, I hope, from this diagram also, from this flowchart. So if it's a 1,000 word essay, I have consumed 100, 200 words in my introduction. वो मेरे पास available नहीं है. I will consume 100 or 200 words for my conclusion. That also I don't have available. What I have with me right now is 600 words. 600 words में मुझे 4 blocks में divide करना है उसको. Either 4 blocks or 3 blocks. And one block or one paragraph I have in which I will talk about bad things. I'll tell you what these bad things are, and then I'll use another paragraph for good things. Then maybe if the essay topic says and it suggests that I should use Indian perspective, then I will use Indian things. Then I will use should things, and then I will conclude. This is a narrative. Why bad things? And now I'll show you the magic of this technique. Bad things. Bad things is the pessimistic narrative. Bad things is not arguing against the motion. Bad things is not arguing against what the statement is saying. Bad thing is negativity, pessimism. Let us come back to our essay topic right now. Our essay topic of the day was life is a long journey between being human and being humane. What is the negative, pessimistic side of it? Take a look at those questions. Take a look at those keywords. Take a look at the keywords. Take a look at that page. Take a look at that page and the keywords. And just note negative sounding words क्या हैं इस पूरे पेज में. That will give you ideas. You already have the content. I'm just going to make you pull it out and put it in a nice structure. Pessimistic narrative. Give me 2 or 3 points about why human nature does not necessarily mean being humane. I want you to criticize human nature, in other words. I want you to tell me why humans are not very higher beings, why they are probably even worse than animals. And I've given you some visual cues for that. Type those in the chat and also write them. Give it about 100 words, 100 or 150 words, 3 or 4 sentences, and write why human beings are not always ethical and why the human nature, or what we call as life being a long journey between being human is not necessarily the case. Sometimes it's exactly the opposite. Argue against this. Give me negative points. Tell me why humans are hopeless. And there are so many examples, because that might be the truth for all we know. We don't really know if human nature is in fact good or bad. We know that we cooperate. We don't know if we actually supposed to be ethical. We all have ethics as a subject, we all want to be ethical. We all hear about the lectures. हम सब सुनते हैं कि ethical होना चाहिए, compassionate होना चाहिए, but actually कितने लोग करते हैं उसको practice? What is the truth? ये ethics का एक जो addition है UPSC में, we have that addition, but how many officers actually have become ethical because of that? It's questionable. That does not mean necessarily that just because of that addition people have become ethical. What is true nature? इतना अच्छा होता nature तो there would be no corruption. इतना अच्छा होता human nature, there would not have been World War II. If human nature was so good, we would not have atrocities. We would not have people hungry on the street. We would not have wealth accumulation. We would not have a lot of problems that we have today. So what are your points? What are you going to say? What is your narrative? Greed, wealth, lust. Yes. Rakshit, I am asking you to come up with the opposite of humanistic tendencies in human. Why humans are horrible creatures is what I'm asking. Humans consider themselves the owner and prime consumer of the world. Yes, Vipin. Yes, there is something called anthropocentrism. Don't worry about the word, but anthropocentrism means that हर चीज, everything humans try to think about in their terms. They don't see other animals and maybe even other cultures as having their own right to exist. Everybody thinks that they are the center of the universe. That's called egocentrism. Everyone thinks that because I am here, the world must revolve around me. It must cater to my needs. It must cater to what I want. Who has time for compassion? I'll be a compassionate person when I'm old, when I've made all the money in my world. That is human tendency. If that is not the human tendency, tell me why is the world running around? Why is the world running around? Why is everybody on the street in the morning trying to get something only for themselves? Yes, we are deeply, deeply selfish, horribly, pathetically short sighted. We cannot see what is good for our own self at times. We cannot see what is good for our own grandchildren. I was reading this somewhere. A public intellectual hand, Noam Chomsky, he mentioned this. He said that humans are the most paradoxical creatures. Humans want that उनके जो बच्चे हों, they want the best, right? You want the best. अभी right now you are somebody's child. There will be a time when you will have children of your own, hopefully. When that happens, you will want the best for them. ना आप चाहोगे कि आपके बच्चों की, आपकी फैमिली की हर चीज सिक्योर रहे. If you want that, then how can you destroy the world that you're living in? And how can you give them a worse world than they will inherit? And why don't we stop? Why? This is in our nature? So yes, all of your points are absolutely correct. Over possessiveness, Prachi is saying they think the consumer of the resources environment. Yes, eco, definitely that whole element of correct. Egocentric, selfish, power-seeking, rational. Now here is the deal. You see, we can talk about it. I can give you points. You can give me points. But when you write it, you have to give me arguments. You remember? मैंने आपको कहा था कि मुझे ओपिनियंस नहीं दे सकते आप. अगर आप बोलते हो कि ह्यूमंस आर सेल्फिश, वो एक ओपिनियन है. If you do not substantiate it with some example or some statistics, then it is an opinion. If you substantiate it with some example or statistics, then it is an argument. And I want argument. So suppose you say that humans are selfish. So what is your argument for that? What's a good example of it? I give you a lot of examples. What are your examples? Patriarchy, big brother attitude, lack of trust. Whether we can expect compassion from African continents or not is not the relevance. You see, this is the short-sightedness. If climate change affects everyone, then there will be no Africa or European countries or the distinctions. If it actually happens the way scientists are predicting, then this is the least of our problems of what had happened in the past. This is the problem. Why are we not able to cooperate? Even on the subject of climate change, why are we all so territorial? Why can't we see that the future is common? That what will happen to one will happen to all. I don't think after COVID there is any question left on that issue. This world is now connected, whether you like it or not, for better or for worse. Now, the only way to survive whatever happens next is to cooperate. The more intelligently you do it, the better your future and the future of your civilization, of your generations will be. The more stubborn you are, the more territorial you become, the worse off you will be. It's as simple as that. Correct. Good. I want you to write 2 or 3 arguments with examples in the first block. That is the first block. And I'll give you a minute for that. Write it. Just put your pen to paper, write it. Casteism, region, untouchability, ठीक है, Devika. But I would like to see when you write it, जब भी आप लिखोगे, I want to see their examples and data. Hmm. Yes, Rajandeep, Lakshita, Sayan, very nice. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to अगर आप अगर आप नहीं भी लिख पा रहे हो अभी, make sure that you write the points. Your homework is going to be to put all of this into a nice essay, fair essay. यही है आपका homework. तो अगर आप पूरी English के sentences अभी नहीं भी लिख पा रहे हो, make sure you have the points because you will be writing this tonight, this essay. All right. The next block, ladies and gentlemen, is optimistic narrative. Now I want you to argue against the motion. Now I want you to give me a nice picture of humanity. Now I want you to tell me why humans can be trusted, why humans are actually quite ethical beings, and why we have a superior stature to other humans, to other animals. Why is that? And I want you to give me examples and data to support your arguments. What I'm looking for are arguments. I am not particularly interested in only opinions. You will have to convince me by arguments about why human beings are ethical and fundamentally good. Greed for power. You said, all of you guys said in the beginning that human beings are ethical and they're this and they're that. But I don't quite understand why you said that unless you can give me some examples. Hmm. Yes, Himanshi, but we'll come to the complex interdependence later. Right now, we're concerned with what is human nature, good or bad. We are building a narrative, you see. And while we're building that narrative, we are using arguments. Vipin is saying humans risk their lives in spite of being in danger themselves, as seen by the service of doctors and during COVID. बहुत अच्छे. Many NGOs are working for animal humans, which show humans are still ethical. Rajandeep, it would be nice if you can give some examples of the NGOs. Human nature shown by Mother Teresa. Gautam, okay. Should the criticism be open? Are we allowed to use names? Yes, you can use names, Pranita. You can use names, but use names which are uncontroversial. Use good examples which are universally known. Don't use examples which only you would know or a small bunch of people would know. Operation Dost. Mother Teresa is a great example. Mahatma Gandhi is a great example. Barack Obama, rights for blacks, equality. Blood donation of injured in Balasore train accident. Okay, yes, you could use that. Hamza, you say Vivekanand, but what about Swami Vivekanand? You'll have to give me more. You'll have to give me a statement for me to include that in my essay. Universal values and morals, you say Lakshita, fine, I accept that. But which universals and morals you say? Develop feature of environment, gaining information on the benefit of the species. Aman says. Human beings are ethical. Without these qualities, no nation state will exist today. Hmm. Jyotsana, you said peace exercise between Indian and other cultures. All right, sure. International cooperation. Nelson Mandela is also a great example. Okay. So do you have this block now? Have you understood what you are saying in this? This is easy. Now, is there a uniquely Indian perspective? In some essay questions, in some essay topics, it makes sense, kabhi kabhar, to add a particularly Indian perspective to the essay. जो कभी कभार नहीं आता है या मिस हो जाता है. This block is optional. कभी कुछ एसेस में यूज होगा, कुछ एसेस में नहीं होगा, बहुत सारे एसेस में होगा और वैल्यू एडिशन हो जाएगी. It does a lot of value addition when it is done. And there is a cheat code for it. There is a cheat code for it. The cheat code is VV, WEWE. When you talk about the Indian perspective, or why is it important for India? This being human, being humane, why is it important for India? Kaushal, I remember, Kaushal ne abhi kaha tha, Vasudev Kutumbakam. Somebody said peace exercises. Now I am saying use these four concepts to find points and see if something fits. I am asking you, what is the importance of being human and compassion, particularly for India? So, particularly for India, what is when it comes to women? Is there something that we can use? Yes, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, the abolition of sati. So many things we could use, and still in India there is a huge scope with regards to women empowerment. Right? This year, all the toppers of the UPSC were women. There's a lot you could write about this. So just keep this cheat code in mind. If you have this in mind, points की कमी नहीं पड़ेगी कभी भी. You will never run out of points. My guarantee. Can you find something relating to environment? India particularly? Of course you can. You see, India is in the middle of this argument with regards to climate change. With the developed countries ने pollution में बहुत ज़्यादा contribute कर दिया है. और अब they are already developed. For them, it is always a nice thing to say that we should adopt renewable energy, etc., etc., etc. India जैसे countries अभी develop हो रहे हैं. When a country is developing, that country burns coal. That country cuts forests. That country has to use the resources to make infrastructure. Infrastructure, it doesn't come from the sky. It has to be created, and that creation has a cost. The creation of the infrastructure has an environmental cost. That is why you have the National Green Tribunal. That is why you have the National Solar Mission. All of these things are in that ambit. So India is in the middle of this climate change debate. तो एक point हम उसका डाल सकते हैं यहाँ. Chipko movement is a good idea. SDGs definitely is a good idea. Sustainable Development Goals is a great idea. Yes, we can do that. Go Green, Operation Ganga, Kaveri, दोस्त बिल्कुल ठीक है. Can we say something about weaker sections? Can we say something about weaker sections in being human, being humane? Yes, of course. There is a lot we could say about that. What about economic growth? इसके बारे में तो we can write a whole essay. इन सब इस पे तो पूरा एक ऐसे लिखा जा सकता है इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ और कंपैशन का क्या कोरिलेशन है. इस दैट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग डिबेट. इस पे तो पूरा टॉपिक लिखा जा सकता है. देयर इज नो एंड to this. Yes, introduction of EWS Rajandeep in the right to education. You're right. Is one such examples. So in the third block, you have written about Indian things. Now tell me about should things. Tell me about should things. I will not give you any clues now. You tell me. Arshita, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree. कैंपा फंड बहुत पॉइंट्स तो बहुत अच्छे हैं आपके. वेरी वेरी गुड कंटेंट. वेरी गुड इंटेलिजेंट क्राउड. स्मार्ट पीपल. गुड. नाउ आई वांट यू टू टेल मी in this debate between being human and being humane, being logical versus being empathic, what should be done? How do we drive people? हमने ये एस्टेब्लिश कर दिया अपने ऐसे में कि जरूरी नहीं है कि ह्यूमंस एथिकल होते हैं. ह्यूमन बहुत गंदे भी हो सकते हैं. दे कैन बी हॉरिबल. दे कैन बी द वर्स्ट पॉसिबल क्रीचर्स that mother nature has ever produced. But at the same time, they have the capacity for goodness. There are examples. There are examples everywhere. There's Mother Teresa, there's Mahatma Gandhi, there's all sorts of things happening. We've written something about the Indian perspective on this issue of being ethical and being compassionate. Now tell me, what should we do to make sure that this ethical behavior increases? Because that's what we want. Suggestions kya hai? What are your suggestions? Ethical values in schools is a great thing, Rajandeep. Bilkul. Ethical education, you want to say? Forest Act, reservation, value-based education, yes, yes. But thoda sa or broad, go broader. Let your mind throw up ideas. Think about it. And when you do, remember to take a look at those keywords. The keyword that you had written, they contain clues. The more you look at them, the more ideas you'll get. ये इसीलिए करा था हमने starting में. This is the reason that we did this exercise in the beginning. You look at these keywords, it's going to give you ideas. हमारे पास content की कोई कमी नहीं है. हमको सिर्फ we have to actually choose कि क्या लिखना है क्या नहीं लिखना है. Soft power policy, inclusive growth, सबका साथ सबका विकास, प्राची, good. But what should be done? Suggestions चाहिए. Ethical education, स्वप्निल एक suggestion हो गया, लिख लिया है वो. उसके अलावा क्या हो सकता है? Vipin is saying organizing social activities like cleanup drives, blood donation, celebrating friendships. Rajandeep, you are saying spiritual movies. Maybe you want to say spiritual education. Yeah, that might be one way to do it. Okay. To promote cultural heritage, culture brings values. What suggestions are we looking for? Rakshit, we are looking for suggestions to increase ethical behavior in humans. And also, guys, why are you not looking at the cheat code in front of you? ये आपके सामने. Take clues from this. What is this? Can we use technology to drive ethical behavior? Can we use technology to drive ethical behavior? E-office, e-governance, does that not lead to reduction in corruption, reduction in arbitrariness? Does that not cut through red tape? What about this whole examination of the UPSC where now it is being done digitally to the extent that your OMR sheets are done by the human involvement is being reduced? That's just one example. Of course, CCTVs. You can go on endlessly. एंडलेसली। द पॉइंट इज कि इसके लिए भी एक हमारे पास चीट कोड है जो आपको यूज कर लेना चाहिए अगर पॉइंट्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं तो। स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी, टेक्नोलॉजी एप्लीकेशन फॉर इमरजेंसी हेल्प, रिवॉर्ड एथिकल बिहेवियर, अंकिता गुड, बट रिवॉर्ड एथिकल बिहेवियर हाउ? Community participation, Meghalaya Clean Village, don't know exact name. That's fine. I know what you mean. One of the most cleanest villages in the world is in Meghalaya. I think you're talking about that. Transparency, accountability, yes. Correct. Learning basics, good socialization, making sensitive, increasing sensitivity towards others. Good. Hmm. Okay. Okay. ठीक है. I'm going to leave you to this. This is your homework. You will do this. Right now, you just note down the block and whatever points can come to your mind. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to bring to your conclusion. Now, when you write the conclusion, I want you to write and find a synergy. Don't just repeat the introduction, don't repeat the solutions, don't repeat the suggestions. Write something synergistic. This I will leave to you. This is your homework. This was my demonstration. This is what I wanted to do today. That is the link to an essay which I have already written on this topic. I have written an essay on this topic. You can go ahead, check it out. You can read, you can get ideas. जितने भी मैंने टेक्निक्स बताए आपको, मैंने सारे के सारे टेक्निक्स उसमें यूज किए हुए हैं and I have demonstrated कौन सी टेक्निक कैसे यूज हुई है. You will see the resulting essay will be satisfactory. This is your homework. This is what you must do. I will not take you through all the spoon feeding बिकॉज मुझे पता है कि कंटेंट आपके पास बहुत है. अब आपको मेहनत करके इसको बैठ के लिखना है. दैट इज योर वर्क. नाउ आर यू एबल टू सी इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू दिस एनालिसिस, these blocks? Are you able to see the birthing of an essay? Can you see an essay out there in front of you? क्या हमारे अंदर से एक essay निकला है? We have to write it. हमको आधा पौना घंटा लगेगा उसको इंग्लिश में लिखने में. But is there an essay on your sheet of paper or not? As of right now, if you have been following what I've been saying. Were you able to generate enough points? Were you able to argue? Did you understand what just happened? You followed. I did not say, let us start with an anecdote or start with a quotation or do this or do that. Write like this, don't write like that. I just asked you a few questions. मैंने आपसे questions पूछे, आपने उन questions का आंसर करा और आंसर करते 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 ऐसे आपके सामने क्रिएट हो गया. क्या ये हुआ या ये नहीं हुआ? नॉलेज नॉलेज का तो मतलब ही नहीं बनता है. द पॉइंट इज दैट एक बहुत अच्छा ऐसे लिखने में इतना स्किल भी नहीं चाहिए. दैट स्किल कैन बी टॉट एंड इट कैन बी ब्रोकन डाउन. Yes, Jyotsna, it should increase confidence because you already have all the content relevant for it. That is what I wanted to do today. And you have your homework now. You understand what your homework is? Your homework is to write the whole essay and then you can send it to me or email it to me. Or at the very least, in fact, here's what you can do. Here is what you can do. Your homework is to write a conclusion and post it in the comments. I will read it. You write the conclusion to that essay and post it in the comments. That is your homework. Right. By the way, what I just did is just maybe 1% or not 1%, maybe 10% of the techniques. All of these are very detailed, and this is just the structure. When I teach essay writing, I don't teach very often, I teach maybe once or twice a year. When I teach essay writing, I take you through all the techniques in detail, and then we have various discussions on the content also. We have various discussions on how to add beauty to that. That is my favorite class, by the way. There we read poetry, we talk about what beauty is, we find beautiful writing and prose, we discuss what makes it beautiful, and there we steal the techniques of these people who write beautifully, how they write beautifully. They use a few techniques, they use cadence, they use repetition, they use allegories, we take all those techniques. जैसे आज हमने deconstruction सीखा है, वैसे हम beautification भी सीख जाते हैं. That is my claim. आया समझ? You got that? Yes. All right. Perfect. That's all I wanted to do. Thank you for being very patient. You were a wonderful audience. I am satisfied that you got something out of it today. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Thank you.